All right. Hello, hola, hola. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today and welcome to the Culinary Business Network presented by Feed the Soul Foundation, the only membership network where you can connect, learn, and grow all at your fingertips. I'm your host, Karina Fernandez, Program Director of Feed the Soul Foundation, and this is our fourth mastermind session. And today's conversation, we are diving into a powerful story of legacy and resilience. And we are so honored to be joined, dun dun dun, to be joined by to be joined by our one of our cohort members and one of our members in our Latin Restaurant Weeks network, Miss Nayomie Mendoza. She is the second generation owner of Cuernavaca Grill in downtown Los Angeles. And from growing up behind the scenes of her family's restaurant to becoming the face and the force that has carried not that has carried them not only through the pandemic but through strikes and inflation, and now even through multiple ICE raids. And Nayomie has shown what it means to lead a culinary business with courage and heart. Her family story represents the dreams of so many in our industry. And today she is sharing not just her journey, but also how she protects her team, adapts her businesses because they do have locations, and raises through the chaos with purpose. And so let's give a warm welcome to Nayomie Mendoza. Woo woo! Let me bring her up on the stage. There she is. Hello, my darling. Hola, comadre. We're
Hola.
so we're so excited to talk to you and learn all about you, your journey, and everything that's going on right now. Um, just wanted to give you, this platform and to help, others as well as we navigate these somewhat scary moments. Oh my God, that was just thunder. But first, let's tell us a little bit about you, how, we know that the business was kind of passed down to you and you stepped in as well. And in celebration of that, tell us about Cuernavaca Grill and how it's grown into a beloved LA fixture and has also earned you national media recognition. So tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about you and your journey.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I am so honored, to be here, especially during these times. I feel like it is really important for us to just be there for each other. As a restaurant owner and even growing up in the industry, I can attest how lonely this journey might feel. So whenever I just remember growing up, whenever I would see someone or like hear someone talk about, how they navigate certain things, it would just give me this sense of comfort because I was like, "I'm not going through this alone." But,
Right.
yeah, so Cuernavacas Grill just turned 20 years,
Oh, woo, woo, 20 years. That's 2 decades, girl. That's as old as I am. No, just kidding.
yeah, so it's been so crazy because when I think of it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I was only, what, 7 years old when this thing started?" Like, I don't know any different. But yeah, I came into ownership almost 6 years ago, I believe.
Okay.
Um And I did not know what I was getting myself into. I saw my parents lead. I saw them do it all, and I saw them do it very, resiliently because I always thought that like I knew there was some sort of, challenge to it, but I
Right.
just didn't think of like the extremities of it. So when I came in, I was literally about to turn 21, 2 weeks away from turning 21.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, so I had already worked at, like, my dad's accountant's firm, and I, started, by auditing. I was
Hey,
19
that's a
9
good skill to
yeah,
have as a business
right?
owner. Yes.
I was 19 years old, and I graduated, high school early. I went into college. I was taking, like, 18 units, that semester, and on, my 3-day weekends, I was auditing with the IRS, and I was like, I actually hate this. Like,
Oh,
I was like, I hate breaking the news to, like, small business owners
right,
who,
right.
you know, sometimes, like, off of an innocent mistake, especially being a first generation business owner, like, I hate breaking that to them. So then they eventually grew, into, like, a business management team, so they
Okay.
added marketing and all of that, and I started helping businesses go viral and businesses grow, and I was like, "Why am I not doing this for my dad? Like, I'm
Pharmacy.
actually
Yeah.
happy here, I'm growing, like, there's impact. Why am I not doing this for my dad?" So I took the leap and I told, my boss, I was all like, "Hey, I'm actually gonna take a break." And she was like she sat me down and she's all like, "No, like, I know that this is goodbye forever." Um, yeah,
She
she's
she
all
knew.
like yeah, she's like, "You're so good at your job that, like, I know
Mm.
that you're gonna make it work." So I came in with all the grit in the world, like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna take over." My dad had a lot of restrictions because he did come in, as an immigrant into the States, so that does put limitations, especially when it comes to
Mm.
so I was like, "Okay, well, I don't have restrictions and, like, I am a US citizen and all of this, right?" I was
All the
in for
things in your favor.
I was in for a rude awakening.
Okay.
This is a very male-dominated industry,
Yes.
um, and I'm a Latina. I'm a minority, so yeah, there was I was in for a rude awakening, and to make matters a little bit better, a year into ownership, COVID happens.
Yes. Oh,
So yeah, when it came to, like, federal funding, I did not qualify because I needed to have 2 years under my belt, which I did not have.
oh,
So I didn't receive any grants or, like, EIDL or PPP, and by the
oh,
time
no.
yeah, so I was just like, "You know what?" Like, I always thrive under adversity,
Hey,
I
hey, hey. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if I'm, like, such a masochist for this, but when adversity happens, I'm like, "I'm gonna come out better." Like, it's a given. Um, so I just started, like, going on social media. I was going down the TikTok rabbit hole, and then they introduced Reels to, like, Instagram, and Instagram was competing with
Right.
TikTok at the
With
time.
TikTok.
We were
Yeah.
just trying to do anything to go viral, like, bring everyone back, so I took advantage. We had, like, 80 followers at the time, and I was like, "Okay, so if, like, 1,500 people see, this, like, at least if 10% come in, I'll have enough for, like, the light bill," or, that's how I was calculating it.
Mhm.
By the 3rd video, I posted the chile relleno, and I woke
Oh,
up
let's show that one. Let's show
yeah.
that one.
So I woke up with, like, 10.5 million views,
What?
and I was so scared because, like, I was like, "What is going on?" Like, never
This is
yeah,
this
I've
is a
worked
chile relleno, right?
this
This one right
yeah,
here?
tequila relleno burrito. I mean, we've used it now, like, our community likes to come in and they like to do their combinations, but that's one of the community favorites. Um, so the funny thing is
There it
that
is.
like, I wasn't really marketing the chile relleno. I was
Okay.
marketing more of the molcajete because I was like, "Okay, this is, like, the
This
dish."
one.
Yeah, I was all like, "If this sells, like, if I sell at least, like, 10 of those, like, I'm fine," you know? But never in a million years did I think that that dish would have its momentum. So that happened, a lot of influencers started coming in, a lot of celebrities started coming in, the
Right.
Food Network, like, reached out, and we went from, 700 square feet to 3,000, knocking the wall down. And um, my dad was already known in the community, but I feel
Uh-huh.
like that amplified it so much more. Also, during this time, he was kind of already heartbroken and wanting to.
Mhm. Wanting
So,
to so the
yeah,
burnout set in and he was just like, yeah.
yeah. So me and my sister came together and we're like, okay, like, I'm gonna do the creative side. She's gonna, manage everything else because again, like we've worked with our dad's old accountant, and we both vowed that if we were going to do this, we were gonna let my dad do the creative side, do the fun stuff, do what
Mhm.
he
He
was
does
actually
best.
like I was like, that's what it should have been. And I feel like, whenever we, come into this industry, we come in with such grit and, oh my gosh, I'm gonna cook, I'm gonna do something that I love for like the rest of my life and build a legacy. But then, you put all, these layers where like whether it's accounting, whether like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid to get an audit, or like
Mm,
even the minimal of things, like sometimes like that takes your spark away.
right.
And I feel like that's where my dad was at. So my sister and I, we just vowed, we're like, okay, we're gonna take care of what we know best. We work best as a team, and
Mm,
he can just live in his elements. And
yep.
he loves people. I mean, we do too, but he's never met a stranger. So we're all like, let him do his thing. Like he deserves it.
Oh,
He's poured so
immortal.
much into the community.
I'm going to show a picture of your family. That way everyone can see. Whoops. Here, let's do this one. There we are. So tell us who this is your sister in the middle.
Yes, that's my sister. That's my brother-in-law, and that's my sister's offspring. And then
Your niece and your nephew.
my niece and my nephew, who I don't know, just to see them, I always joke with my sister. I'm all like, your child was like in the womb and she made it to national TV. Like that is so cool.
That's
Like
so true.
and then my mom and my dad, and then me in the middle, and it's just to see the next generation. And I mean, my sister and I are taking on the family business, but like even my nephew, like they had career day, he went to school as a chef. And um we are growing, and
Right.
his teacher had told my sister like, oh my gosh, like I've fangirled like this entire year. I could finally tell you because he's going on vacation. But just to like even see that, and she's like, the impact that you guys are making in
Having.
the community, like
Hmm.
that's what it's all about, and that's why we fangirl. She's like, we follow you guys religiously. Um, she's like, it's so funny to like see a picture of like our little Tiago on like Drew Barrymore or ABC. Like it's the
Yeah.
funniest thing. So yeah, like just to see the impact on the next generation, and how like confident he is in who he is, like in who he is and our culture. Like it just gives me so much hope that this is gonna go on for a while.
Yeah, and you are no stranger to national television, and you've been invited to speak on many panels, and so that's a true testament to your leadership. And how has your father, journey played in shaping your values as a business leader? Now, I know you spoke about, you really taking the initiative in saying, "Hey, I've learned all these skills working for, XYZ. Now I want to, help you, take this business to the next level." But what other things has your dad's journey kind of instilled in you to be a leader in this industry and in your business?
So my dad's journey has definitely played a huge role. So he started from the very bottom. He started as a dishwasher. He worked his way up to, in 6 months, to head chef, and to. So my dad comes from an entrepreneurial background, and he came in with all the grit to America, and
Hmm.
thought like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna make it. But again, there's so many restrictions. So when he started working at a Japanese buffet, and that owner was all like, you know what, like I could only have like 5 of you because I am in debt with like millions and millions of dollars.
Mm.
And my dad heard them like talking, and he's all like, give me a shot. He just asked him, give me a shot. And he's like, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z. And they do X, Y, and Z. And this owner ends up like sending my dad to like culinary school because he thought, okay, like he's just a chef. And my dad's like, no, like I actually know business. Um, in a year, that restaurant went from being negatives to, you know, their revenue was $10 million.
What?
And it just kept growing. And he gave my dad an office. And prior to my dad being at this location, he had always been treated poorly. Um,
Mm.
a lot of these restaurants, do have white chefs like in the front, do the bare minimum, and it's always the Latino carrying, you know,
The weight.
the entire industry.
Mhm.
And I remember, like, around this time, I was, like, 4 or 5, right? And I remember this clearly, and I would just always, like, see because my dad would do the hiring, and he would always showcase Latino, and he would always, like, talk to me as if I was grown, and he'd be like, "One day, like, if whatever industry you end up going to, there's so much
Mhm.
talent in our community, but
Yep.
we don't really get recognition. So whatever industry you end up going to, always, open the door for someone in our community. And
Mhm.
it's always gonna pay forward, and even if it doesn't, it's gonna pay forward in some way." So then when they ended up selling that restaurant, and that owner, like, relocated to Las Vegas, and he wanted to, like, take, you
Take your
know,
dad.
my dad and buy him a home and, like, all of that, pay for our education. And my dad's like, "No, I think it's time for, like, my own venture."
Okay.
Um, so he did that, and, every time that, like, he did that, we always it doesn't matter, like, how much we grow, we always hire within the community,
Right.
whether as minimal as our logo, or if we have, like, an event that, like, my dad is very intentional, like, the more accolades that you have, the
Mhm.
more recognition you have, the more you owe your community,
Mm.
because carried you throughout this entire, whether it was tough, whether you're on top of the world, they've carried you this entire journey. So I always just saw him pay forward to our community, give that, you know, recognition, give, open the door,
To others.
about yeah, about, like, 8 months ago, we were part of this really big festival where they were showcasing, their providers and all of that, and I almost wasn't gonna do it because we just had so much going on, and, it's really hard for, like, all of us to be at the same place in the same time,
At the same time.
um,
Right. Right.
but to us, it was really important because that meant that our local, farmers
Mhm.
were going to be showcased. And
Um,
so my dad was all
do
like, "It's
do
little." Yeah, uh-huh,
do you buy from local farms and
yeah.
farmers?
Yeah,
Got it.
it's all organic, all, like, family owned, so we make sure of that, and, like, it bites us in the butt sometimes because the profit margin does get slimmer, but my dad's
Right.
like, "Okay, it'll pay forward, and thank God it has." But
Mhm.
yeah, we've always just been very intentional with, like, if you hire, like, and even if, like, there's someone with more experience, but then there's potential here, like, you don't know how much your collaboration can help them, and it could uplift. So he's just always been intentional, and that's something that we carry. We've been able to do so many things, but like, we love passion projects. We love doing, and being part of initiatives that, come with a cause and come with that ripple effect, and especially for our community, especially during these times.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Well, speaking of these times, we know right now your community is really being affected by these ICE raids, right? I mean, we'll be fully transparent and we'll be, to the point. For many culinary entrepreneurs, dealing with that fear, right? I know you and I spoke about what is going on, especially how it's impacted you, your business, and just everyone around you, right? Talk us through. I'm going to show the two locations and then we'll kind of dissect it down like how one, so you have two locations, one has been affected more than the other, but they both have been really affected, both from the foot traffic to just, everything in general. So walk us through, tell us, so far you've been rated 3 times,
Mhm.
or one location was rated once or three
Yeah,
times.
and the other, like, the plaza, it couldn't catch a break. Like, last week, it was 5 times in 1 week. I was like, "That's more than, half of the week."
So
Um,
this sorry, this one, this
Mhm.
is your family. This one
Mhm.
here
Mhm. Yes.
is what
Our
location is this one?
our Bell location.
That's your Bell location. Okay.
Mm.
And this one is how far from downtown LA?
About 20 minutes, but this one is in a predominantly Latino neighborhood as well.
Got it.
Um, and it's a beautiful plaza. To be honest, when the raids happened, I was out of country, and when they started, I was out of country, and I was primarily worried about the LA location because I was like, "Okay, Belle is a little bit
This
bougier."
one. This one.
Yes.
So this
Yes.
one's downtown LA.
Yes.
Sorry.
So I was worried about that one because even earlier this year, when the ice raids started, that one was really, really affected.
This
Um,
one, the downtown LA.
uh-huh.
Okay.
And I was like, "Okay, Belle is a little bit, like, bougier because it's mostly made up of, Chicanos and pochos and people, like, on the higher end." And I think you can tell the difference by, the front of the locations. So I was,
This this one's Bell.
yeah, so I was really dependent on that one. I was like, "Okay, like,
Uh,
it's going to be fine. We will figure it out with LA." Our community always comes through. Again, like,
right.
I'm a masochist who thrives under adversity, so, um but, um, I never thought that it would have the effect that it did. A lot of our neighbors, had workers that were taken. A
Mhm.
lot of people, they were taken in, the bus stop. Our mayor got in. The raids were happening so bad, like back to back, like every day. Like, at least with LA, we'd be like, okay, they came today and they're not gonna come back, right?
Right.
But with Bell, it was just like back to back to back to the point where like everyone was just fed up. And like the fire department got involved and the like the Bell Police Department got involved. The city officials got and they were just fighting ice physically. And
Mm.
um
The
yeah,
the the fire department
the
or just your community in general?
in general. Like they all got together and they were fighting ice and I mean, yes, good, right? But then also we're like, okay, we don't know if they're going to come back and business just has not been the same. I was just like, I've never seen, such low numbers in my life. And I was like, and I've been in this industry for 20 years. And I was like, and I'm grateful because we have government contracts like set that will carry us through. But that's not
Right.
the point of it. The point of it
Right.
is to see people, to see our community, that's what it's all about. Like if I wanted to have a catering business, then so be it. We close a restaurant, but no, like we love people, we love our community, we
Mhm.
love connecting. And then in regards to downtown LA, it's been a little bit better. I feel like so I've been posting a lot, and I feel like that's brought a lot of awareness. With Bella, I've tried to post, but people are scared because
Right.
it's targeted a little bit more. The raids actually started in downtown LA, which is why I panicked, and it
Did
started
you
to uh-huh.
the downtown LA one, did you have any idea it was coming? Were there any signs beforehand or it
It
just
just happened.
immediately just happened? I know you said you were out of town, but
Yeah,
your managers were there, your family was there.
and where the raids happened, like, that's our client, and I like, again, different time zone, it was, like, 3 a.m. when,
Mm,
like, everyone's calling me, and I'm like, "What is going
going
on?"
on.
Like, um, and I was just like, "Okay." Like, they we're not strangers to these things. We've seen it happen earlier this year, but then when we
Mhm.
saw it happen again, and then I finally got on TikTok and I saw the bombs that they were, like, throwing, and I was just like, "Okay, this is not okay, like, this what's our plan?"
Right.
Um,
Speak,
so uh-huh.
speaking of a plan, did you have, protocols in place? I know last week we talked about with some attorneys about being proactive in everything from I-9 audits to, doing mock, mock exercises. But a lot of businesses don't, right? And so were you prepared? Was your staff prepared
We were
for
not.
something like this? Okay.
Yeah, we were not prepared. Well, maybe we were, but it's just such a different time.
Mm,
I again, we're literally in the like the heart of the LA fashion district. Like if you've been to the LA fashion district and everyone always complains about parking and the parking lots and all of that. We are the first like building that walk into. We're literally the corner building. So it's really
yes,
good
you're
foot
right. Let
traffic,
me
right?
let me put it on the stage again.
Yeah.
This is
So
like
like
literally on the corner.
yeah, so earlier this year when the raids were happening, I feel like the agents were a little bit more respective when it came to exercising your rights. Or like if you had the card and you actually like studied it, like you could exercise it a little bit more. But now, like it doesn't matter if you're a U.S. citizen. Like it
Hmm.
depends on the agent. So we weren't ready. I feel like it all depends. You don't know when they're
Mm,
going to come. Like I think the community collectively is doing the best they can to just advise. And like I mean, just 2 mornings ago I was at the gas station and ran into ICE, and like who would have thought that this would be 2025.
mm.
But yeah, like we do have like our signs. And um the time that we were rated, like they didn't care about the signs, like um
So
so
how does that make you feel as a business owner? You're trying to do everything right. You have your signs, and I'll show one. We did discuss this earlier in the month. Whoops, this one, right? We had discussed it, that this is a tool that you can use. But what good is this tool now if they're not even respecting your set
exactly.
boundaries, right? So
No, exactly.
how do you as a business owner and your managers, how are you guys navigating that now? Because if they're not respecting it, what do you do, right?
Yeah,
What have you advised your managers if this does happen again? Because it doesn't look like it's gonna slow down
it's
anytime
yeah.
soon.
Yeah, I mean, it feels very invasive.
Mm,
I was like, I mean, I've gotten my car broken into before in the past, and I felt like invaded, and like
right.
I did not want to move for like a week. I was like, that's like heightened times like 100, like
Mhm.
I am very like private when it comes to certain things, especially when it comes to my office. Like everyone knows, do not touch. Like I'm very like OCD, like I have to have things done a certain way. And when they came in, they went through everything. And I was just like, there was no need for that. Like, and I literally told the guy, I was like, my OCD is like,
So
and
they didn't respect your office.
no.
They just ransacked it,
Yeah.
which we know that they're not allowed to do. But
Yeah.
what do you do now? What's the plan for the next time for you?
Yeah. As like misogynistic as this sounds, I was like, this only happened because I'm a woman. Because the next
Oh,
time we were raided, um, my manager was there, and I was like, and he looks, more Latino than I do, and they respected him.
wow.
I was just like,
Wow.
it depends on the agent, right?
And yes, you're right. You spoke about it depends on the agent, but you navigated it with grace, even though they're going through
Yeah,
areas that they shouldn't be. But I guess you feel like you have to comply. Like, is there what happens if you push
but
back?
yeah, it's also like what happens if you push. Like we've seen so many cases where people do push back
Hmm.
innocently, gracefully,
Hmm.
respectfully, and it doesn't go in their
Hmm.
favor.
Mhm.
Like right now, also like a really big deal in our area in the LA fashion district is that they have masks and
Mhm.
they don't know how to detect like what's real, what's not. But you hear the word ice and you panic right away. Like
Right.
so it's just a very, very scary time to be living in right now. In regards to protocol now, like, I'm just like, definitely always have a man in the front, and
Got it.
I've been trying to put more signs more than ever and point camera like, we pointed the cameras that direction now,
That's
and,
a good one.
um, yeah, so we've been doing that, and I'm like, that's in regards to, like, my staff, right?
Mhm.
My also biggest fear is, customers.
Okay.
Um, I'm just like, "Okay, like, my staff is compliant, like, we are fine now." Um, but customers, like, it's a predominantly Latino environment, you
Neighborhood.
know,
Or your
people
clientele is predominantly Latino.
go to the fashion district when they miss home,
Mm.
and that breaks my heart, like, there's only I was like, I literally just feel like my hands are tied, LA as a community, we've been through so much, we talk about the pandemic, and
Mhm.
a lot of people think, "Oh my gosh, pandemic's over." No, like, it's actually worse now, like, decline of, surplus,
Right.
inflation, about the workers' wage spike here in LA that they were
Right.
trying to
And
get to comply with.
then you had the LA fires,
Yeah.
deal with that. There's still
Yeah,
the
yeah,
aftershock of
SAG, like and even when it was SAG, even, like, when it was the fires, like, we immediately knew, like, we are going to help our community, we are gonna carry our community through, but
right.
now there's only, like, so much that we can do, like, we can keep on talking about rights and let people know at least earlier this year, we could have educated people, be like, "These are your rights, and,
Mhm.
carry this card," and, but now it's like how can you exercise them?
You're right.
It really all depends, but, yeah, like, as a business owner, I've probably been going to, like, every, like, meeting, seeing any new, like, protocols, trying to learn any new tips, a group chat with, other business owners, checking
Mhm.
in on everyone for, like, "How's your mental health doing?" Yes, like,
Right.
"Are you safe?" But also, like, sales are not
Right.
good.
Right.
And a lot of, my friends, like, they have really, really viral and sustainable restaurants, and even they say, like, "We've never ever seen such a thing," and I'm like, "I'm with you,"
Right.
so it's a really tough process to navigate. I was like, I definitely did not think that I would be navigating this in my 20s, but here we
Yeah.
are. Like, what can we do, to
Right.
help? And yeah, so, like, every week, it's probably, like, a new meeting, a new protocol, trying to stay updated, trying to see what we can do, trying to stay updated on the map, checking in with
Mm.
our team who, is probably going through fear as well, but fighting that because they
Right.
do have to bring back food to their family's table.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned a map. What's the map?
Yeah, so it's this interactive map. There's a few. I could send you the link in a
Okay.
bit. And it tells you it's literally just the entire community reporting where ICE has been spotted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, like, you're able to see if they're in your neighborhood or what time,
Got it.
and it's not, like, fraud or anything because it literally, like, has it, like, if you see ice, you could report it, take a picture of
Okay.
it, and put the
Got it.
description and the time. So, I
Okay.
feel like everyone's been doing that, and I was like, I feel like I check that more than I check my messages
Oh,
nowadays.
hermosa. So, it is. It's we're now seeing a collective pain, right? Um, and we're seeing it in the numbers, right? You just mentioned that you had one of the lowest sales days,
Yeah,
right? You
yeah,
said that another business owner complimented you because and this blows my mind, right? How it just blows my mind. Talk to us a little bit about what's happening and how it's affecting your revenue on a daily basis.
Yeah, so I feel like it's again, we're all going through it collectively. Like I mentioned earlier, we shop locally in the LA Fashion District. It's such a beloved neighborhood. I always say that that's the neighborhood that taught me how to be a owner and be the
Mhm.
businesswoman that I am today. Because funny enough, my first business was selling like strawberry shortcake stamps when I was 5 years
Really?
old, and I
Yes,
saved my
I remember you love strawberry shortcake.
we just collaborated, which is like a full circle moment.
That's
But I saved my allowance, and funny enough, I bought those stamps at the corner of our current LA location. So full circle moment. Um,
wow.
and I just remember going there as a little girl, and you see the colorful umbrellas, and everything is so bright. And now I just feel like everything is so like dull and
Somber.
intense. It's a very, very somber time, and the more that I walk down, the alley, the more you see, you know, what sometimes we would fight for, like the fruta with chamoy and go early. Like, you see
Mm,
all of these people by the end of the day, or like, a lot of business owners. There's also the produce district that is part of the fashion district.
right.
Um, we used
A
to go
ghost
there.
town.
Yeah, we literally used to go there for inventory at 4 AM
Oh,
and wait the line for like 2 hours. No, like, these past few weeks have been so insane to the point where, like, you just see, like, everything rotting, and business
mm,
owners, um,
I saw
being
that.
yeah, like, them being so excited when you were buying, like, the other day we had a really big catering event with the government, and they were so excited when we just bought a bunch of, avocados for guacamole, and
Mm,
I was just like, "Dang," like, that we used to just buy that on a frequent basis, and, like, I feel like it's shaken everyone up, and
mhm,
even us, like, I mean, I'll be transparent. The other day, the lowest number that we saw was $9 from
mm,
a 9 AM to 9 PM day, and we were talking about it as neighbors, and my neighbor was like, "Well, at least you had a sale. I had
mm,
nothing."
mm.
Like, I had absolutely nothing. Um, so it breaks my heart. I'm all like, "I don't know where we're gonna go with this," because I was like, at least when it was COVID, like, there were grants. There were,
Right,
like, there was some sort of funding, so like,
right.
something, But right now I was like, "How do we recover as a community?"
Community.
And even now, like, I was like, okay, in comparison to COVID, people still went out. You
Mhm.
just put the mask on
And
your
had
face.
delivery and yeah,
Yeah. And you just even still have the mask on your face, and like, because as humans, we are designed to do community. I was like, that's the reason why we all go out. Like, even as much as like you could be an introvert, like you need to have some sort of connection with a human. So
absolutely.
during COVID, like that's why everyone was going crazy. Like you wanted to be out. So
Yep,
yeah, you could have slapped, the mask on and go out, but now people aren't going out because of fear. So I was like, so it doesn't matter if like I have a viral video, like are people gonna want to come out? And also, do we want to have a viral video? Because then that brings more awareness to our neighborhoods.
and you touched on that, and I want you to kind of expand on that.
Mm,
The fact that you don't even wanna post, you don't even wanna engage on social media because you don't wanna be a target again. And
yeah,
how does that, like, just affect you and others, right? Because it could be that there's multiple business owners that feel the same way, right? And when you're so used to this engagement, right? How are you navigating that, you know?
yeah,
Yeah, expand a little bit on
yeah.
that.
For me, I'm such a people person. Like I
Yeah,
love
right.
yeah, I love people, and I feel like that's why I like social media, because I meet the most random strangers on there that, always like, I respond to the comments, I do, especially the nice ones, like, oh, all the ones, um, and I would just read through the comments and, like, they'd be like, "Oh, this reminded me of home," or, like, whatever the
Mhm.
case may be, you know?
Right, right.
And I feel like now we're, like, in a time where it's like, "Okay, no one is posting because you don't wanna expose." So I feel
Mm.
like, okay, not only is, like, your community, like, your physical community getting taken away, but, like, your virtual.
Oh,
Because, again, even with COVID, like, there was still a lot of support online through the
right.
community. Like, "Okay, well, I'll stop by once everything gets better," or, like, commenting for awareness, boosting, like, little things like that, but now everything is just, like, so somber. Everyone is,
Mm,
like, doesn't really know, like, what to do, and I feel like what people are most and I love this, collectively, like, what people are posting more now is, like, where ICE has been,
mm,
um and their whereabouts, but as businesses, like, it is affecting us. It's also affecting, the way we speak about it, like, okay, like, if you do post against, like, will
mm.
they go for your business? Like, will you be a target? There's so many layers that come with that.
Right, right. So, what can we do for you all, um, as those that are on the outside, right? We might not live in the same city as you, but what can we do for you all in terms of how can we help?
I would say, just staying, like, updated, and I feel like the protocols are changing even by the hour sometimes.
Right.
Um I would say just to keep, like, open resources, whether it's, like, posting in a group, like, okay, like, there's this new map or, like, there's this new protocol or, like, "Oh, by the way, leadership just spoke, and these are the changes that are gonna come." I feel
Right.
like as small business owners, I mean, I'm very grateful that I do have my family, but I'm
Right.
like, I could scope and read a little bit more and, like, connect with business owners, but I know that that's not the case for, like, a lot of people also, because, again, as Latinos, we are the backbone of the
This
industry.
industry.
A
Yep.
lot of, workers aren't working anymore, so that leaves like, us as small business owners at the forefront. The other day, I had a few of, like, my influencer friends come in and help me with, like, even the cashier and stuff because we were trying to
Oh,
LA was getting a little bit better, and we were trying to bring exposure to, our block. Um, I hadn't worked behind the grill or anything in 5 years because everything has just been boom, boom, boom. Karina, I don't like I was so tired. I was all like, usually when I was, like, in the back, like, I would flip tortillas like nothing. I was burned because I was flipping tortillas, like, you're on the phone, like, and I was like,
right.
"That's us," like, where we've had an amazing past few months, like, it's affecting us, and I was like, "Imagine the restaurants that were barely getting by."
By
So
already. Hmm.
so I was like, I feel like I cannot complain because in
Hmm.
comparison to a lot of people, I feel like we're very, very blessed. But, it's affecting us. Imagine how it's affecting other people,
Right.
and I have the time, like, even 10 minutes to, like, scope. There's restaurant owners that don't have the time, that are doing everything because maybe their entire staff was scared or, like, um, are now juggling 15 more things where they had their team do that in past a month or so because
Right.
this just came out of nowhere, right?
Right.
Um, so yeah, like I would just say, resources, staying, connected, up to date, masterminds like this, um, whatever you guys can do to just bring awareness, or like if there's we have a mastermind and like let's say like 2 days later, like the protocol changes, like definitely like updating it and just like
Right.
keeping everyone, in check-ins, for
Right.
sure. I was like, thank God I am in, the fashion district where like every business owner is very, very close and um, we do those like mental health check-ins. Oh, like, do you need
Okay.
any do you wanna cry about it or like
Right.
we'll cry
Right.
together? But I know that there's so many people that don't have,
Have that.
that
Yeah.
support. So yeah, like little things like that definitely go a long way. The other day, like my publicist sent me like some flowers and I just felt like I was
Oh,
on of like the world. I was like, oh my god,
Right.
yeah.
Right. I saw that. Yes. Shout out to Kelly.
Love Kelly.
Yes.
So yeah, like it's just like little check-ins like that definitely go a long way, and that definitely let the business owner know like you're seen, you're supported, let me know what you need. And yeah, like even my friends, like I'm like they're influencers, they have brand deals, they don't need to be, here, but just to
Right.
even have them be like, hey, like, we know that, the restaurant can't
It's
really
going
afford
to.
right now, what can we do? Like, I'm not doing anything. Like, let me like be the cashier for a day or two, or
Right.
yeah,
That's a
like
good one. That's a good one.
so
Um, did
a
you
lot.
lose did you
Uh-huh.
lose staff?
I
Did you lose
did.
any staff? How
I
many did
lost a
you lose? Say that again?
or yeah, I
It cut
lost a
off.
month and a half. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes. How many did you?
So at the beginning of the year, we were at 40. Um, and right now, on a good few days, we're at like almost 20. And that's including me and my sister. So it's been a lot. We were used to, having a full dining room where everything is made from scratch, right? So you
Right.
do need big staff,
Right.
um, but it's just been
So
insane. And
almost 50% of your staff.
and the only reason why we still have, the staff that we have is because we do have government contracts that are keeping us
Right.
going. But I
Right.
was like,
Right.
but if like we didn't, I
What
fear
would
that it probably would have just been maybe like 8.
mm, mm. And your both establishments we spoke, they seat about 150 at a time.
Yeah.
So not only are you down clients, and customers, sorry,
Mhm.
but you're also down almost 50% of your staff.
Yeah. No, for sure.
And revenues are just, if that you have something coming in.
And then for our downtown LA location, it's doing well. It's not doing good. It's doing well.
Mhm.
But the reason why it's doing well is because a lot of so we have delivery, and a
Mhm.
lot of the business owners in the alley and around the area are afraid to go out
So
and
they
buy
order on
or
Uber Eats.
or directly from us. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I
So
didn't know
they're
you have a direct order and pickup or
and pick up.
delivery?
Yeah. So they're doing that, or like what a lot of business owners are doing, like, these factories, what they're doing is they reach out to us and like, hey, we have 50 staff members. Can you guys do delivery and drop off? Oh yeah, we're going through a revamp right now.
Oh, okay. I was like, "Oh, where do they go?" Because that's another thing, right? Another way that we can help you or that our community can help is, order online.
Oh yeah.
Yes, place your order, takeout, dine-in, delivery.
Of advice because this has carried us through. So um a lot of these factories, they're like, hey, by the way, we have like 50 employees, we have 60, can you deliver from Monday through like Friday, like that's something like steady. So I would say definitely catering. I know for us that's what we're doing. We're like my niece's birthdays this weekend, and we're catering, and I'm like, we don't need to do that because we have chefs in the family, but we know that that transaction might pay the rent for someone,
Right.
and or like or some sort of bills. There's a lot of, business owners that have been talking about like past due bills, and there again during COVID, you had the flexibility of like delaying it, but now like
Right.
what are you gonna tell the credit card company? Oh, by the way, like,
I was raided by ICE and my
like
community's being
yeah,
affected. Can you hold off on my debt, please? Wait, but
yeah,
that is a good idea. Hold on, hold that thought. That's a good idea. No, it is. It's like,
yeah.
how can, I mean, we could petition, right? Nobody says that
Yeah,
we
we
can't
can.
petition.
Like, I
And
will gladly go to City Hall for that.
right, me too, right here. So let's shift gears because I want to talk about all the support. You're
Mhm,
going through this, you're in the mix of it.
mhm,
How has your, because we tell business owners, we talk about this all the time, is building relationships not only with your visitors bureau but also your consulates, your chambers of commerce, right, when you're going through chaotic or uncertain times, right? Some of these relationships and creating this ecosystem of support can really help your business, and like you said, and help you not feel alone in this time, in these uncertain times, right? You mentioned building a relationship with the Latin American consulates. How has this relationship helped you right now in these moments? You did talk about government contracts,
mhm.
which is definitely one way for business owners to really leverage and diversify their sources of income. But how has this relationship helped you during these uncertain times?
It's definitely educated me a lot because sometimes, the consulates get the news before the public does.
Got it.
Also, I I knew that for example, in comparison to the last raids earlier this year, I knew that we had obviously rights as like business owners.
Mhm.
Um, with the consulate, I feel like they're very proactive when it comes to, protocol changes, especially when it when you employ, people with visas, or whether they came in with the like even a visa, everyone's situation is different.
It's different. Yeah.
Or if they're, in transit or whatever the case may be, um, everything is changing.
Hmm.
Absolutely everything. Like, I mean, we had 3 workers that came on asylum, and they were in process. And, they've been with us for 5 years now. They came on asylum, they were in process, and they thought, "Oh my gosh, this is the year." They had already been approved, and, in the midst of, like, one of, like, the raids, like, later that night, they're like, "Oh, well, we got a letter that we have to self-deport."
Deport. Ugh.
Yeah. So, when it comes to situations like that, like, I was able to call the consulate, and they were able to best guide me in what to do because I don't know what to do, like, that
Right.
it's
Like
gibberish.
how do we expect a business owner to navigate their business plus immigration law plus this plus that? Like it's impossible.
Yeah,
Impossible.
and even if I didn't know what to do, I
Yeah.
might not know what to do tomorrow because it's
Right.
changing
It's
a lot.
changing. It's constantly
It's
changing. Yeah, yeah.
it's, "Oh, okay, now residents aren't safe. Okay, now you can't leave the state." Okay, like, it's a lot. So, these relationships with the consulate definitely, help get a little bit
Mhm.
more insight, and if they don't have something, they will connect you with someone in their or the right department.
Uh,
Um,
right.
yeah, I know for us, there was another case where, they were approved, but the green card was taking forever.
Hmm.
So, they were able to, you know the consulate has, months and months worth of waits for, appointments and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, but they were because I called them directly and we've collaborated and sponsored, so many events, we were able to get, that team member an appointment the very next morning and have all of that
Oh,
resolved. So, it plays a big role. I always say, networking is like my unpaid job. Um,
wow. That's a good one. That's a good one. That
my
is
side gig, but in situations like these, they're very, very vital, and you never know. Like, I always just say, be kind to everyone, say yes to everything because you never know
mhm.
who you might need.
Yep. Who might need you, your help, your catering services, like
Exactly.
um and then I was going to ask you also, your, as you know, as business owners, that, like I said, are either going through it now or we don't know what's going to happen, right? What would you tell that business owner that is watching this and wants to be better prepared so that, they don't get caught off guard? Or, we had a whole session about having, your I-9s ready, and how you become compliant and avoid, these audits. And we understand, um, there's a being compliant is good, but the reality is something different. And having to mentally prepare for something like this, what if someone could have helped you prepare for this, what would you have wanted them to tell you?
I would have wanted them to tell me to educate myself as much as I could. One thing that this industry has taught me is that in order to succeed in this or in life in general, right? Um, you have to be flexible. You have to be adaptable. And that's my dad. My dad's biggest piece of advice to me has always been like, because as family, like we have hiccups, and I feel
Right.
like every now and then. And I feel like the reason why like we're able to do what we do is like one, we enjoy each other, and we have like it doesn't matter like how big like the problem is. We always look at the outcome that
Right.
is like in the very near future, but we are like all the trait that we all share is that we're adaptable. Like it doesn't matter, like COVID, SAG, like anything, we were able to adapt. And my dad always just tells us like you never stop learning. Like you
Hmm.
know, it doesn't like I literally um last September it was the biggest month of my life, and I was taking classes at USC and
Wow.
working on my government certifications with 3 other cohorts, and then I
Mm.
was, like literally when I was on, Drew Barrymore, what a lot of people don't know is that when I was in the dressing room, I literally was in class with my Zoom on, and then I, like, did the interview, ran to the back, answered questions, and, like, it was insane. But
And then I know you participate in one of our programs
yeah,
too. And
I did.
wow.
So,
Wow.
the thing is, like, funny enough, like during that time I was prepping for government contracting certifications. When
Mm.
it came to the wildfires, they hired those who were certified. So who would have known? Like I was one of the top that came out. So who would have known that, that little thing would have led so yeah, like you never stop learning. And
Mm.
sometimes it feels like it's an ex like, I just said right now, like, networking is like my other unpaid job. But
Right.
just never stop learning, never stop being just be an adaptive person when it comes to life in general. For me, like I am literally on TikTok, YouTube, all of these like Facebook groups, talking to new people, talking to, our councilmen and surrounding cities and, the consulate. Like I was like, I'm just being the biggest social butterfly right now, but any update, it will save you, it will save your community,
Yeah.
and yeah, like, my biggest piece of advice to anyone is, like, don't stop educating yourself and just be adaptable, we have a saying in, my family, um, we, like, put the letter E, and then my dad always says, like, "Okay, like, Naomi, like, you see E, but your sister is probably gonna see M, and I'm probably gonna see W, but we have to be adaptive in all of those situations because at the end of the day, like, it's still a letter, it still has purpose, right?" So and you
Yeah.
might learn a different perspective being on the
Right.
different side, so that's something that we always just, go by,
Right.
and yeah, so just
And
educate and be adaptive. Yeah.
there was another saying, your business will only grow as much as you do.
Oh, yeah.
How has that chapter of growth helped you as a leader?
Oh my
I
gosh,
mean,
so
these chapter of growing, right? Or this
mm,
concept of your business will only grow as much as you do.
yeah, so, funny enough, I came into, the restaurant industry. I had just gotten out of a long-term relationship, and, again, like, I feel like as people, like, we have, and this is just in life in general, we have the option to either bring out a very happy, beautiful consequence or stay there and mourn. So
Mm,
when I was literally mourning for like 3 days and I was like, "What am I doing?" Like, no. So then, the opportunity presented itself and I told my dad, I was like, "Look, we're gonna do this, this, and that, and you're gonna be here and you're gonna be, like, recognized what you should have always been, right?"
right.
And I was like, "And we're gonna make an impact on the community because I've been drowning here in my tears watching the Food Network, and I do not see a Latino on here." Um, so anytime I felt pain, I would just, invest it into Cuernavaca. That
Mm,
was definitely, like, my outlet, and one thing that I have noticed about, like, my walk is that I do thrive under adversity. Like, if you think of it, like, 2024 was one of the hardest
yeah,
years for the
yeah,
restaurant industry, yet it was one of the best years, and I was like, it was just because, like, I was panicking. I was signing up to all the cohorts. I was signing up to absolutely everything. I didn't know what to do, and I was like, "And I don't know how I'm gonna do it," but eventually they all flourished at the same time and are still flourishing now.
right.
So, yeah, like, I believe that the outcome depends on our decision. Either you stay there and mourn, or you pick yourself up and you're like, "Okay, like, I wanna cry, but now's not the time.
Right.
Let's keep going."
Right. Right. No, I love that. I love that. And also, so what I heard was the advice that you give others to prepare for something like this is continue educating yourself, look
Yeah,
for resources, build relationships with others in your community, and really what's it called? Empower yourself with information so that you are prepared.
yeah.
Is that would that be in a nutshell what you would recommend?
Yeah, yeah. In education, the biggest one, like, never ever stop educating yourself, like, ever. You never know. Especially, like, during the tough times, we have, like, again, I always tell my family, like, we need to write, like, an inspirational book or
The
something.
book, yeah,
But, mom goes by this saying that says, like, "Hay tiempo para todo, hay
yeah.
tiempo para hay tiempo para llorar." Pero, en los tiempos a donde, and I'll translate it in English, in times of, like, the very, very dark times, sometimes that's where we need to be propelled because you don't
Yeah,
know what skills you need for the next season of life. And I will
right,
say I'm really, really grateful for the dark times because once you're, like, on the other side, like, it just clicks and you're like, "Oh, okay. Yeah,
yep,
definitely worth the pain."
absolutely. Well, any final thoughts? Again, Nayomie, thank you for your transparency, your strength, for leading both with grit and with grace. Your story is really a reminder to all of us of those tough moments. And we find, in those tough moments that clarity and you've been fighting for this dream not only of your family but also of yourself, right? And to everyone here today, we hope that you walk away not only with some strategies, because this is ever changing, and you know even if we prepare, the reality will always be different, and getting a little bit of insight from Nayomie, I think would really benefit us all. And for your courage too, Nayomie, because being rated once is scary, twice, three times every day, that really takes a lot of courage, and that emotional preparedness too, right? Because like you said, if a car break-in affects you so much, imagine someone coming into your business and treating you this way. It's not for the faint of heart. And so we admire you for going through this and coming out, like you said, always better on the other side. And this right here is the reason why we created this Culinary Business Network, is to empower not only each other, but others as well that might be going through something similar. And to those of you tuning in, please drop your comments or questions, and we'll try to answer them. So Nayomie, thank you. Thank you again for sharing your awesome story. Any final thoughts? Any final comments that that you might want to
Oh,
share
thank
with us?
you. Yeah, thank you and, your entire team. You guys have been such a rock to us through, like, Hispanic Heritage Month, through these new changes with the administration and even the wildfires. Like, I know that you guys aren't in LA, but we've felt your love from miles and miles away, and yeah, like, keep doing what you guys are doing. It's leaving a mark, and I know that this is gonna equip the community, just bring this closeness, and we're all gonna get through this together, and this is what we need. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Okay, and to our audience, again, thank you for watching. Next week, join us for our Let's Toast happy hour. Our guests will be the social media expert, Karen De Amat of Social Behavior, along with Black Restaurant Week's managing partner, Derek Robinson. They'll be mixing up refreshing cocktails, and we'll talk everything industry. And of course, we'll always be celebrating you and your monthly wins. And if you haven't signed up yet, for the Culinary Business Network, make sure that you sign up. The clicker's down below, as well as remember, for only $1 a day, you get all of this great programming. You get to connect with industry experts, learn from each other, and everything at your fingertips. Fingertips. So, and also remember, you are not alone in this journey, as Nayomie told you as well. We are here for you. We are an ecosystem of support. And when you thrive, we all thrive. So keep showing up with purpose, passion, and people first leadership. So we'll see you all soon. Thank you, Nayomie, again. And yeah, hopefully we will collectively get over this and come out stronger than before. Thank you, everyone.